With just one glance, the young man recognized that the cat's litter box, sitting on the ground, was actually an ancient emperor's enamel-painted golden bowl, worth up to 1.5 billion yuan. Afraid he might give himself away, he stayed calm. Instead, he played a trick and asked the shopkeeper how much a certain painting cost. The seller thought another fool had fallen into his trap. He immediately opened his mouth wide, demanding an exorbitant price of 1 lakh yuan. As expected, the shop owner stuck to his guns, falsely claiming it was due to careful maintenance. He offered that if the buyer was truly interested, he could take it away right then for 400 yuan. He bargained and asked if 40 yuan would be acceptable. The owner said worriedly that his wholesale cost was 4,000 yuan, and selling it for 40 would cause him heavy losses. Right at that moment, the cat sitting in the box started meowing. Hearing this, he knew his opportunity had arrived, so he immediately went over to the creature. Just to get scratched by it, he pretended to be extremely angry on the spot and shouted that he would smash the bowl. The owner hurriedly pleaded with him not to be angry and promised to throw it out in a moment. Taking advantage of the situation, he said he wouldn't hold a grudge against any cat and asked if the box was for sale. Although the trader became suspicious, knowing the young man was quite clever, the seller immediately suspected there might be some secret trick behind this item. So he picked it up, he turned it over repeatedly to examine it, and even bent down to smell it. He concluded that apart from the smell of cat urine, it was a low-grade item placed underneath, and clearly a cheap thing. However, the seller felt it was quite heavy and looked like an old artwork, assuming that the buyer must have liked this very thing about it. Thinking this, the trader's intention became to cheat him. He claimed that this item had been passed down since his grandfather's time, and on the spot quoted a ridiculously high price of 1 lakh yuan. Hearing this, he knew the seller had no idea of its true nature. He immediately said he wanted the bowl for himself. He transferred 1 lakh yuan to the trader, picked up the item, and left. After that, he went to an antique shop to meet an expert. But the moment he entered the door, he ran into the very same shop owner who had just sold him that item. The seller mocked him for spending 1 lakh yuan on a modern litter box, saying his taste wasn't anything special after all. But the shop owner felt he was just being stubborn, claiming that because there were simplified characters written on the bottom of the bowl, it probably couldn't be an ancient item. Unexpectedly, he asked him in return if he knew what those characters meant. Reading the name of an old craftsman written on the bowl, the expert noticed that if this had truly been left by that craftsman, it would be extraordinary. He told him to let him see it, after which he handed it over to the expert. However, after examining it carefully, the expert shook his head repeatedly and said that although some characters seemed to have a historical period flavor, this bowl was just an ordinary clay bowl, and he even believed the characters were merely copied. Hearing this, he asked the expert to look at it even more carefully. Unexpectedly, the shop owner jumped in again. He started scolding him for daring to question the industry giant and called him completely arrogant. The distinguished gentleman also warned him not to talk nonsense and said that if he couldn't present proof today, he probably wouldn't get ahead in the antique industry.